Welcome back to Moon to Moon. In this episode, I'm going to be talking with Teagan West about what the 13th reader is, who the 13th reader is, how one becomes a 13th reader, and what it's like to be a 13th reader. I've never actually done an episode like this, so I'm really excited to dive in. For those of you who are like, Britten, what is a 13th reader? If you're maybe more new to my world, if you've been following me since the last promo completed for the Magician's Table, which is a spring offering that I have. So I usually stop talking about it more or less around mid-March, even though it's often referenced in conversations that I have and in solo episodes. You may not know about the 13th reader. So before we dive in, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the lore of the 13th reader so that you can have some context to this conversation with Teagan. And then I'll introduce Teagan. So the lore, it was December 2020. And for at least a year, in a few months, I had been doodling in my journal the words, the Magician's Table. This is the power of a magical journaling practice. I just note the data of phrases, words that are circulating in my field that are kind of murmuring. Even though I don't know what to do with them, I don't really know what they mean. They're just sort of talking to me, and I note that in my journal. I talked a lot about my magical journaling practice in the recent Revolutions, Not Resolutions workshop, which you can still get. It was deeply meaningful and sensational and so fun and so rich. It felt like ripe fruit dropping into my arms. I'm ready to write the book. Let's go. I talk a lot about my journaling practice, and that's what was going on with the Magician's Table. I was coming into a picture of a way to talk about a magical practice, being a magical practitioner, which can mean all kinds of things. It can basically mean anyone engaged with their creative life in some way. And this idea of a magician, inspired by the magician card in the tarot, who's often pictured standing at a table. And on the table are the symbols of the four suits, the four elements: fire, earth, water, and air. And this magician is channeling from above, one arm up, and bringing it down to the earthly plane, one arm pointing down. So, wanting to talk about tools, practice, and the context for one's creative magical life. That being how I was seeing the table. The table is the context. It's your circumstances. It's your ecosystem. Like, how much support do you have? Like, how much support you have, meaning, like, are people validating your magical life? Are they cheering you on and celebrating you? Are they encouraging you? All of those things matter in one's magical life, especially if you are actually a practitioner in the fields of the intuitive arts, because these are deeply taboo fields in our culture. And so having people around you who are like into it and recognize the beauty and the dignity of what you bring through with your magic is huge. And so important for vitality. It is the abundance. So I wasn't knowing what it meant. And then in a single day on a run, I just saw this whole curriculum come through for a 3-month intensive, bringing in a group of 12 magicians. The space would be called the Magician's Table, a workshop circle for emerging readers. And I saw this curriculum that moved us through the elements. So there was like a backbone spine of creative exercises, rituals, journaling prompts, practices from me to support you. But the real magic was happening through the weekly group meetups, through a vocalization format where each person takes turns speaking their truth for a limited amount of time. There's no crosstalk. Nobody says anything after you speak. The mic just passes, so everyone just gets to be witnessed in their truth. And then the meeting closes, and in between, everybody's practicing with partners. So everybody takes turns sharing a reading for a partner and then receiving a reading from a partner. And that at each week, then the group goes deeper into knowing one another, appreciating one another, seeing one another, celebrating one another, so that by the end, there's this deep coherence between everyone in the cohort. And immediately I saw the role of a 13th reader. So there's 12 magicians plus a 13th reader. The 13th reader would be both supporting me in holding the space and also participating in the space. So they too are exchanging weekly readings with the magicians, but they're also on the back end side with me, holding the space for the magicians, supporting them, seeing them, nurturing them, empowering them, and able to like really fortify and nurture the intensity of the container, because it's a very Uranian magical space where a lot of magic happens quickly. So it's up for people who are gamely for these kinds of intensive experiences that are hyper magical, like supernatural in what's possible here. I'm not joking. The first year was wildly, sensationally beloved. It was so beyond anything that I ever could have imagined. It was spectacular. So from there, I began to create this every year at the spring. It's an emergent kind of offering. So spring feels really appropriate to hold it. And then we always end right before the summer solstice, so that, because truthfully, the way solstices work, you're being thrown into some totally different thing. So it wraps up right before the summer solstice, so that then we kind of like move into the next thing beyond the space. So each year for me, one of the biggest things that I'm doing is between ending the magician's table at solstice to beginning to turn towards the coming iteration, is I'm listening in the field for who are going to be the 13th readers in the coming series. So there's only been one cohort 1 year, the first year, ever since I've been able to add cohorts, because it's increased in popularity, its reputation has expanded, its aura has grown very big, because there are now so many alums out in the world who are able to speak the name of the magician's table as a space that nurtured them, supported them, rooted them, and took them to very new places in who they are. It's a very magical space, and it's for who it's for. You're for it if it calls to you. If it's not calling to you, like you're just like neutral, then it's not for you. And it doesn't take much interaction with the magician's table to know this answer. You just feel it. So if the question is, am I a fit? Well, if you're called to it, you're a fit. I've seen this so many times. People who come in who have very little experience holding space, and people who have tons of experience holding space. People who've been studying their modality for 6 months and people who've been studying their modality for 3 decades. Like I've seen it all. It's really just about resonance. What magnetizes you is like really understanding the essence of this and the commitment that this is. So it's become such a high sensation space that I created a new role this year for Teagan, who was a 13th reader last year. I mentioned this in the announcement, I believe, this week, that Teagan West is going to be holding this new role called the staff holder. She is holding her magical staff inside the frequency of this space to help me with the entirety of this being, because it is like this is an extravaganza of an event. I feel like I'm putting on like a massive event each year that lasts 3 months plus several months of promo. So I'm so excited to give myself, to give the 13th readers this new year, the 13th readers who I introduced in the last episode, and you'll be seeing them in upcoming episodes with me. And I'm excited to give the magicians the support of Teagan West's magic. Teagan's been on Moon to Moon many times, so I'm going to skip right into our conversation. You can learn about Teagan in the show notes. Go to her website, follow her on Instagram. This woman is who she says she is. She is the real deal. And, you know, there's very few people on planet Earth that I could trust to take on this role. So that tells you how much I trust in, believe in, celebrate, support the craft, the integrity, the vision, the genius, the magic that is Teagan West. I'm so excited to share our conversation. We had a blast. I pulled the levers right before we started. And I mean, it was so lovers because we were just having so much fun. So I hope you feel that. I hope you feel like you're with us, having a blast with us, and inviting you into the conversation now. Welcome back to Moon, Teagan West.
Such an honor to be back.
I really appreciate you coming back so soon to talk about the Magician's Table and the 13th reader within it. Yeah, why don't you? I feel like today is going to be a lot of personal storytelling. I'd love to hear about how the Magician's Table came into your awareness and maybe your first kind of thoughts about it or feelings about it. And what was the kind of journey with that up until I reached out to you in fall of 2024 to ask if you would be a Magician's Table in last year's group?
Yeah. Gosh, it was such a spiral path. I was aware of the Magician's Table for a few years prior, like it was on my radar, and it was doing that kind of like tracking thing where it was just in my periphery and I was pretending that I didn't see it. You know, I was like trying to pretend that I couldn't see it. But a few friends of mine that I got really close with in like late 2023 into early 2024, Nicole Frensko being one of them, was already a part of it at that point as a 13th reader, I think. And
Yes.
I remember when I saw that, I faced the container more head on and I ended up applying in the 2024 cycle. I was living in Central America at the time, so there was a lot of this like I was very much in a liminal state. And in that liminal state, I was clinging to old ways of being and really grappling with my work. And I knew, like, I could feel the Magician's Table pulling at me as an opportunity to get unstuck, but I also could feel that it was going to challenge me. And at the time, I was in such a precarious, like, liminal state that I had so much back and forth. Like, I applied, you accepted me in 2024, and at the last minute, I was like, I dropped it. I was like, nope, I'm not, I can't. Because a part of me knew that it was going to challenge me to clip those final threads of like the prior iteration of my work that I was clinging to, which was very much rooted in like being a health practitioner, like an Ayurvedic practitioner. I wanted to be more in my magical divination. And I could feel the magician's table. Like the spirit of this container is so strong and clear to me. It's like this like non-binary queer magical like creature that just sits back in his chair and winks at you and can see. I think what I feel is like it can see your vulnerability. It can see
Mm.
where something's ready to crack you open. And that's, I think, where the tug was for me is like, I know that you're going to crack me open. And I didn't think I was ready for it at the time. So, yeah, 2024, I was like, I was actually really regretful that whole like spring into summer that I didn't say yes. And I was like having my own relationship with the container. And then, of course, a few months later, when I was planning on applying to the 2025 cycle, you like knocked on my door and was like, "Hey, what do you think about like being a part of this thing as a like a 13th reader, not just as a magician at the table, but like as one of the, you know, like facilitators of that container." And for some reason, I felt that that was actually how I was meant to enter. You know, like that was the way I was supposed to experience the container because it did play upon so much of my past as like a community space holder too. It was like a way for me to enter and meet myself in a new way as both a magician, but also as like a space holder. You know, it like broke me open in the exact role identity that I needed to be cracked open in, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
intelligence, yeah.
It's so intelligent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, listeners may not know that the Magician's Table has an application filter. I really have hardly touched the questions from the beginning year. This will be the 6th year that's coming up. And I knew your application was coming because Nicole had told me and was like, this is a really badass human being. Like, this is going to be so amazing. I was excited to get your application and I could feel this like dancing and, like, I'm not interested in dragging people in, so it's just
Okay.
like respect, may our paths cross again. And then I think you signed up for Emergence Astrology year 1. So you were kind of in my space, but I didn't really know you because it was the Hermitage portion of that when we saw. But the truth is, Teagan, I think you were already in the field. I don't know how else to describe it, but a field.
Mhm.
It's sort of like this space around me
Mhm.
that like a name appears. And you were already there when I saw you in New York City, whatever, October, November for Unshaming Saturn, when I was like, okay, there's like a resonance that I don't understand, but
Mm.
following it. And then really just listening. And what was so hard with that one is I had to break with my tradition of only inviting 13th readers who'd been magicians previously. That's just what I'd done. We fell into that pattern from the beginning. Well, starting with year 2. And so I really had to sit with that because I don't know. To me, it's important to sit with anything that's like breaking with a tradition.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
it was just so loud. And also Shahir was coming in very loud. And Shahir had not been a magician. It was just like, am I going to listen to this or not?
Mhm.
At some point, we just have to listen to the voice coming through, even when we're afraid that, we're breaking something that mattered to us, before.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so now there's a precedent for that. It's just now it's an available thing to
Right.
let in.
Yeah.
But it is kind of, you know what I mean? That feeling of like
Yes.
breaking with your way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember we spoke about this like through that process. I was so conscious. I was so cognizant that I had not even met this being formally yet. Like I had not had, I hadn't sat at the table yet, and I already knew like yeah, just how much energy was around it. And I that's kind of how I've been like raised as a practitioner, is to be like really like reverent of, okay, what are the parameters of this space? What are the boundaries? What's my responsibility? And I personally felt like it called me forward in such a bigger way that I had never even like sat at the table to be taking this role. And that also felt a part of it to me, that it was like, okay, now you got to really practice what you preach by way of like integrity and respect to the tradition that was being broken, right? By me saying yes and by me like
Hmm.
taking this role. And it was so edgy because at like I remember through the process of like preparing and meeting the container, and then the first few weeks of it officially opening, I was so cognizant the whole time that I was just meeting this space for the first time, and like there were other people in the container that had already done it. So it's like, oh, what's that like to be, for the space to be held by someone who's new here? Like that is, there's so much in there. There's so much like I could just it was part of the medicine. It was part of the wisdom so clearly. Yeah.
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 And you're really speaking to an edge I think a lot of 13th readers have felt,
Mm.
which is like how to like basically like live quote unquote up to the trust that I'm putting on you,
Yeah.
And for me, more and more, I think that the power comes in the invitation to someone who is going to like respond to that trust and not get bogged down by over questioning it, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
Because we got stuff to do.
Yes. Yeah. Oh
There's
my God.
magic to be making.
Mhm.
Let's go.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that edge of like, I mean, it's so much a part of the container as the 13th reader, is that edge of both being a leader and a participant, right? Being a space holder and a peer at the same time, which for me, to be just totally transparent, there's a huge comfort that I have developed over the years in being the like space holder and facilitator, because it means that I don't have to participate in the way others are experiencing a space. And so the
Yes.
edge for me as a 13th reader was like, child, you're a leader and you're a peer, and you have to learn how to dance that line, which is such a careful power dynamic, actually, to have to
Mm.
toe as a person, to hold the like being stretched in that way. Um, and to not buckle under the weight of whatever flavor of imposter syndrome might come up in that space. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are all the fires
Yeah.
that one walks in this role.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's been a big one over the years, this piece around like wanting to be part of the friend thing, but like holding that position to kind of naturally isolates you a little bit.
Yep.
And like how do your different parts respond to that felt isolation? And like so what do you do when that's here? Um Yeah, I certainly identify with the edge of like if I'm holding the space, then I can just kind of be over in my little Capricorn side of things.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, thanks for naming all of that so clearly. Yeah, so I feel like right away maybe you checked in with the being of the magician's table and began reporting to me things that you were noticing. Do you remember any of them?
Yeah. Man, I do remember some of like it actually came back up before I got on the call today, which felt like there was a kind of the image that actually came was this really complex kind of like circus tent or circus arena, right? And I don't remember if I like shared that with you specifically, but it's like this like arena, this yeah, it felt like a circus tent, and the spirit of this container stands at the center like the ring man, but they're in this like magical wild queer like many-limbed energy. And yeah, I have chills because I could feel them like pulling certain people to the table, but also like really what I felt was like circulating the energy to call a very specific dynamic in. And what I'm gathering is that that's a different call each year. There's a different kind of quality to the call each year that brings in a certain set of like characters and magicians to be a part of it. um I really remember that kind of circus like energy as I first met it. And that it's agitating. Like it's pokey. Like that's really the overtone of it is like this being knows how to poke at your vulnerable spots where you don't really, what I feel is it's like where you don't yet believe in your magic as fully as you say you do. They're like, okay, well, why don't you come try it out in here and then see what that's like, you know? Like really. And I, as a ritualist, I'm like scanning the parameters of this container and I'm like, wow, this is sacred agitation. Like that's the medicine. Like
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
sacred agitation. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Very
Mm.
Uranian, I feel like woo, little like a little sparky. Yeah, yeah,
I love this circus, this visual and all the characters. Yeah. It is so magical the way it constellates.
hmm
It is so magical because it's complex. It's different than anything else I have because it's really on its own
hmm
energy. I'm just kind of around the periphery helping it,
yeah,
but it's like shifts, yeah, to every year. And then each cohort around their different 13th reader has got its own frequency. And I'm sure you had two cohorts, they were both very different.
so different, so wildly different. Yep, like it was very fractal in that way, where there's like the bigger circus tent container, but then there's these little pods of like energy. And what I felt so moved by is like between the two cohorts I was leading, there was a noticeable like yeah, I'll use the word medicine to each of them. Like it was working a certain type of medicine for the people that constellated around that particular table, right? And I'll say like what I was so moved by in the very beginning of you inviting me in is like your trust in me. And, as a ritualist and meeting a space that's been created, I noticed very early on, I'm like, Britten's not really super involved in what goes on in there. Like she has created the perfect conditions for actual magic to occur, right? And that's the magic of ritual is it's like we're as practitioners as magicians our work is creating the conditions for like the spirit to enter, right? And that I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, she did that, and I'm being asked to like do that in a mini level in these two cohorts. So I saw really quickly like this isn't about micromanaging and controlling anything. It's about really skillfully being that kind of tracker around the periphery and letting the container work its medicine, its magic based on who came to the table, right? Like everyone's part of the soup. Ooh, chills. So crazy.
Yeah. Um,
Ugh.
yeah, it's like yeah, everyone who comes, it feels so on purpose. Even the handful over the years who left midway, it was like there was an entire intelligence around that.
Yeah.
And every year is like, buckle up because some things come up that didn't come up. The promo is always flavored completely differently. It's
Mhm.
so responsive to the time we're in, you know?
Mhm. Yes.
So, like, if, like one of the first slaps in the face, in how it is, like the some, because I feel I have the experience really through the promo
Yeah,
that
yeah.
everybody gets inside. But like the slapping of my face is like so humbling. But I just thought I'll just roll it out like last time,
Mm,
and like it has just been a big teacher around like this is not how we're going to do things here.
wow.
If you're not going to sit and listen, like no.
Mm, wow. I believe it. Yeah, I
I think
remember.
every container can be like that. It's just particularly like firm and like kind of laughs at it has me have to be able to laugh at like my human ego plans, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes. Yeah, to really listen. Yeah. Oh my God, I believe it. Yeah, that's actually some of the like curiosity I've held too because of those dimensions that are at play. Like you're orchestrating and listening enough to the container that I can tell the different flavors of promo are like, okay, this is the particular frequency that's circulating, but I can also imagine the degree of attunement and listening you have to have, like you spoke a bit to it earlier around how you find the 13th reader. It's not just about, the tradition of who you think you should choose, but really what the container's asking, like the type of leadership team that the container is desiring each year. Like I'm really curious how even in the breaking of tradition with me, like how you got past that, like, am I gonna listen to this? And your
Mm.
process around choosing 13th readers in general. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like the first really big breaking with tradition was in 2024. I there had been small ones, but the big one was removing myself from the cohorts. Because the first 3 years I was in there presiding. So the 13th reader was like a more muted role then.
Mm.
Um, and
Wow.
over that time, I like, there were many factors. There was the factor of my name had grown a lot and my aura was bigger.
Mhm.
And I think my presence in the space was like a factor of the space in a
Yeah.
way that I didn't know maybe was helpful
Yes.
for the kind of space it wants to be. Of like, there's Britten. Um, and I really was wondering if my removal would be helpful. I was also seeing that learning to trust others in my growth was a huge thing. Um, I have like North Node and Pluto in the seventh house. So, hey, in Libra. So, I kind of feel like I'm dying when I
Yeah.
share.
Yeah.
Like, I either want to roll over and give it away or be in control. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
learning how to open and to trust for me is like a death process.
Wow. I feel it in my belly in a way that makes me want to like purge, like, whoa, that's a lot of energy. Wow,
Like,
you're really testing the edge in that. Yeah. Wow.
yeah. But I
Wow.
was learning like on my knees, like
Ooh.
I'm ready to learn this.
Yes.
So it was like a period of time where I was really like, just being unwound around that and wondering what it would be like to trust that I don't have to be there because the 13th readers got it.
Yes.
And then I was also just frankly like, wait, if I'm going to have 3 cohorts, how am I going to go to all those meetups? Like, I was also
Yeah.
just like, logistically, how can I can't do more than 2. So, do I really have to be there? But I was working with so much like guilt and shame. Like, will people think I don't care about them? Do they think I don't want to be a witness into their experience? Like, what if I don't feel close to them anymore because I wasn't there for their experience? And like, what if that will feel really sad because this intimacy is lost? It
Mm.
was a whole letting go. Um, but it was like, again, there was this thing that was louder than all that,
Mm.
which is like, this is what you need to do. Um, and then, like, sure enough, it was amazing. I think there were some people, especially the ones who'd been prior years, who did share, like, I really missed you. But like, yeah, I mean, I miss a lot of that too. I miss it. But it just felt important to the space that it alter.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, so then the next year with you and Shahir, whew, because I so loud in my head were imagining people mad at me,
Yeah.
imagining the resentment, people talking about my choices. But, you know, in my growth as a leader, these are the fires you go through. I mean, these are the fires you have to walk through. Like, you cannot show up audaciously creating worrying about what everybody's saying about things. So like, it's even funny to even think about that now
Yeah.
because I just like those things are very muted for me now. But I had to move through the process of learning to let that go. What I love about these things is finding out on the other side how great it is. And like all those things that you're worried about, you meaning anybody with these worries, like it was, thank goodness, when we listen to this other voice
Mm.
that's like, I love you, but this is the change that's here.
Mm. Yeah.
Because then usually what happens is I have like all this built up resistance, and then when I just decide, it just flows again,
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
kind of maybe I kind of have a kink, I think, for the resistance process.
A woman
I'm
ruled
like,
by
oh, I'm
Mars.
not ready to give up the resistance. It's so fun.
Wow. I feel called out by Whoa.
People are like that with signing up for Magician's Table, though. I know that many people resonate because I'll hear in the application, I just needed to resist longer before I could say yes.
That's it.
Yeah, there's some pleasure in it. I
Yeah.
think it's the pleasure of feeling in control,
Yeah. Yeah.
actually, because you surrender control when then you decide to listen to that voice.
Right. Oh my God, that's so real. That's so real. And I feel like it's this like control over our pace. Like we know
Mm.
that change is coming and we're like
Yes.
wanting to ward it off. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so real. Yeah.
Compassion for all the humans. We're funny. We have these kinks. But I think I answered your question. This year, the new thing so far too is I have 2. I'm Shahir's coming back as 13th reader, which has never happened before. Someone coming back as 13th reader. And now you are here in this new position, the staff holder, helping me hold the frequency down and
Mm-hmm.
really being there for the 13th readers, helping just mind the space. The circus tent has gotten bigger and bigger,
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. I love it because it makes me consider the staff holder as like the bouncer of the circus tent. You know, it's
Bouncer.
just like making sure everyone is getting what they need in there. Yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah, I love feeling into the vastness of the like alumni community and the webs. Almost every day I open Instagram and people who know each other through the magician's table are celebrating each other in some way. It's so cool. And as we get to be more vast in the ecosystems, you know,
Mhm.
like magician's table as a movement,
Mhm.
like we need more minders and elders holding it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you for saying yes to that invitation.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm so excited because I also feel that it's like it's going to teach me a lot about the container being it's a funny thing where as I tune into it over the past month, it's like I'm both tracking the perimeter of like the big ritual energies that are happening inside, but I'm also very intimately, I feel, going to be like on the ground level with the other 13th readers, like understanding the micro and the macro energies that are at play at the same time, you know? And
Yep.
so I just feel it's a totally different relationship to the actual being than just having my cohorts over here. It's like I'm moving between the whole circus and like really
Yes.
making sure people are like well supported and I feel it's like honestly the more that I tune in with the staff holder, it's really like kind of the work of being a ritualist in the
Mhm.
most degree I've ever had to do it, where it's a sustained ritual from now through the end of June. Like it's a 6 month ritual that I have to be like tracking and tending on all the levels, which is exciting for me because that's my favorite fucking work to do, you know? But it's also like I have been like with the spirits a little bit, like, okay, y'all, I need backup to be able to like really be a good tracker, you know, so that I'm paying attention because I feel that that's kind of part of the energetic responsibility is to really pay attention to what's happening as the energy builds, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a high investment space because there's just so much happening behind the scenes
Yeah.
that's invisible making this happen. It is like pulling off a major event that
Yeah.
lasts 3 months and it needs 6 months, like total.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is.
Mhm.
And I now, and like, I just love the idea of just giving the magician's table your tracker skill set, you know, like your ritual skill set so that it's more than me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember last year you had this sense that there was a fox circling the perimeter. Can
Yes.
you talk about that?
Oh my God, I'm making the huge connection right now. That's
Me too.
crazy, Britten. That's crazy. Wow. The spiral deep time of like the spirits is just always so astounding. Yeah, that's part of like as soon as I have so many chills. As soon as like the magicians started constellating to our respective circles, like I remember watching the names fill in the the sheet where people were like taking their seat at the table and it was so big like that was where for me the ritual began was like okay people are taking their seat at the table like they're constellating right and something that I'm always kind of like especially in big group containers I'm always trying to feel in like lean back into the spirits surrounding the container like the ancestors of the people that are coming to the table the spirits that they work with like they're all in the space it's like one big they're filling the seats in the circus tent right like everyone's kind of coming in and there was a very specific kind of energy as we were getting into this like really what felt like the home stretch of this sustained like doors opening process where we were really ushering people in, and towards the very end it was getting stretched. Like I remember I'm like, okay, there's more people that are meant to be here and they're waiting outside for some reason. And that's when I was starting to get attuned to this like fox spirit that was just like tracking the perimeter of the space. And really, like, what the fox was doing was paying attention to the people who were like kind of leaned out, like had one foot out the door and were like, I'm here, but I don't know if I'm gonna stay here. Like the people that were like, I said yes, and there are parts of me panicking, you know? And the fox was like really tracking the perimeter to weave those people back in, and to like honestly what I felt too was like bring our awareness to who was kind of leaned out,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, because that's what
That's
it was.
normal.
Yes, it was
Mm.
like I was receiving like little nods from that fox spirit of like who was kind of a little bit leaned out. So that's really what I remember, and they stayed the whole time. Like at the halfway point, it was like deep in April, and the fox came back big, and that's when people started to like, you know, not show up for their meet, you know, they start to like unravel a little bit, and the fox was really back as that tracker, you know, just making sure people like aren't falling off into the fringes. And I love this full circle moment of like, you know, my ancestors refer to you as the fox. And so there's a funny kind of like, oh, got it. She's tracking. She's around the perimeter. Yeah. Yeah. Wacky.
That is so cool. It was me.
It was you. Yeah. Yeah. I feel that.
Get back in there.
That's it.
Take your seat. You want this.
You want this.
Um, but now I'm also remembering there was a skunk piece as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was so appreciated you naming that because it really then shows the intelligence of how promo can feel.
Yep.
Do you
Yep.
want to describe
Oh my God. Yeah.
that?
Well, I had this beautiful opportunity as these doors were opening to also make you a drum, you know, and
Yes.
that was really where skunk came through, because I work with skunk as one of my like main, you know, spirit helpers. And I think it was like maybe early February as things were stirring for the container that I held ritual with your people to make you this drum. And Fox came through so strong. Like when I really asked, okay, what's the spirit of this drum? Like when Britten uses this drum, who's it calling in? And it was skunk, like immediately. And I was like, oh gosh, because I know skunk is a very polarizing energy. She
Yeah.
is this extremely like seductive force, you know, like so much what's the word? The pheromones. Like skunk is
Yes.
she's stanky. Like you smell her coming from a mile away, right? It's this energy of like really either being super pulled in and seduced by the energy, or super like you know, kind of averse, or even just like there's strong polarization reactions to skunk medicine. And I feel that yeah, it was this energy that you were carrying as someone that I also experience as being very clear. Like, you're not going to chase after people. You're going to hold the power of the container and trust it. There's not this desperation of like, no, come, please come. It's like, no, you're holding that power and you either like it or you don't kind of energy. And that to me is skunk. So that was really present as doors were opening, especially. And I feel that that drum is still with you in that, you know? Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, as you were speaking, I was inviting my young selves to come hear you to help them understand the experience of being
God.
repellent.
Yes. It's strong. It's strong medicine. It's not for everyone, literally. It's the medicine of I'm not for everyone, you know? Yeah. Yeah. I know
And the
well.
magician's table is not.
It's not.
It is so for who it's for,
Yeah.
and it is just not for everyone. And
Yes.
it knows that.
Yep. Yep.
And I'll have people who do so many of my other things and then never do it. And then I have people who do the magician's table and never do anything else that I offer. And there's just some kind of governing intelligence. And of course, there's people who do both, but none of that's any of my business.
Yeah,
It's the truth.
there it is.
But yeah, I really enjoyed last year. Listeners will remember that we had an inauguration in January, and like last year's winter was super rough collectively, and I don't know that that's the reason. There's also mystery reasons, but uh the magician's table got a lot of no's from people in my world, and it was slower to fill than anticipated, even though we were audaciously going for 5 cohorts. Was it
Mm.
5?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 cohorts, which we are this year as well, which is 60 human beings at a pretty high ticket, so in a very like skunky place. So there was this feeling in late February of like, huh, God, we have like a lot of seats to fill.
Yeah.
Like maybe we're gonna need to, what would y'all say to drumming up some energy together? And I guess it was like into March, because we didn't start till mid-March.
Mm.
Um, we just began to do this asynchronous magic as a team behind the scenes. And it was wild how much information we all got and how people were seeing the same things and what we were able to do to reveal the doorway to more humans so that enough humans could find the door to not just fill the seats, but to be the right people to fill the seats. Because
Right.
this is not oh, I just want to fill the seats
No.
kind of a space.
Right.
And so that is like very, very big magic. And yeah, that I imagine you had fun with that. I mean, it was really fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think that that's where I realized just how real the like circuitry of the container was when we all like submitted when I was listening to like Shahir and then Lisa's readings and how much resonance it shared with what I was tracking. I was like, oh no, this is real. This is real magic. Even now, those of us that like need the affirmation that magic is real,
Yeah.
it was so there. Yeah. It was so fun.
I couldn't, like, I knew that my internal ultimate deadline was Tuesday before the Wednesday meetups begin.
Yeah.
So when we had initiation weekend before that, we weren't full yet. And
Right.
people are submitting questions like, what happens if our cohort doesn't fill, And I was in this deep place of like, I am not entertaining plan B.
That.
Like, there is no plan B. We are going to fill the seats by Tuesday night. And like,
Yeah.
they were coming in through Monday night, and Tuesday we got everything finalized with the final people, and everyone was in their meetups on Wednesday. It was wild. But
It
I
was
got to see
truly
the
epic.
power of I will not have a plan. I'm not entertaining it. I'm not going there. We're not even going to discuss it.
Oh my God.
Because
How
it's hard
important.
not to do that.
Yeah. It's so important. Oh my gosh.
We just insisted
Yeah.
because we knew that the magic of the place, like, they just hadn't seen the door yet.
Right.
And so much of that was happening in the invisible realms,
Mm.
not just through the visible promo that we were showing doorways. We had,
Yeah.
I think it was Leanne, who's going to be one of the 13th readers this year, said, I suddenly saw a doorway appear.
Yeah.
which was literally what the spell work was.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it was super, super gratifying and fun, but also terrifying to go
So
through those
edgy.
2 weeks.
It was truly magical edging. We were like, okay, we're gonna hold, we're gonna hold the container to this, like hold the energy to that degree for weeks. And it
Yeah.
wasn't like it wasn't depleting. It was just like the most I've ever held energy to that high regard for a sustained amount of time. Whew. And it paid off. It worked.
It worked. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I feel like for the most part, it was like a very, we had to kind of ground, which you always have to do at the beginning, is just help everyone come in and see that not only is it going to feel safe, but it feels pretty amazing. So yeah, I'd love anything you want to share about what it's like to be
Mm.
in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, in the heart of it. I think that that's where that line that I was speaking to of really having to balance, for me as someone who hadn't actually been a magician before, I was actively learning like, okay, what's it like to exchange with different practitioners every week, and just be in that magic of like at a very personal level, I was like exploring my mediumship and like channeling the ancestors. It was a big undertaking to do that in and of itself, right? And then
Yes.
to add in like I'm also making sure everyone's like showing up on time and getting like I'm also being Saturn's little girl, like you need to be at the container at this time and like having to test that edge of taking authority and
Yeah.
like yes, I'm your peer, but I'm also really here to uphold the boundaries of the space and to say like our group coherence depends on you respecting those boundaries. Like the
Mm-hmm.
actual magnetism and this shared agreement of like we're all here to do this together, the way that that kind of love in action is expressed is by showing up on time, showing up to your meetups, like doing the Saturn daddy thing where it's like, be there. And I think that that was such an edge to hold at a personal level while also still maintaining that tracking and like noticing when people were kind of falling off the ship a little bit and being like, okay, like let's have it like let's talk about what's happening for you to weave you back in and like make you feel supported, like the caretaker element, not in a self-abandoning way, but genuine care, right? Like you are weaving people in. You're making sure everybody stays on the ship as we get from this shore to the other. And that is like really it's a lot of ritual energy to be
Yeah.
circulating while also doing your own thing at the micro level. Like I had to show up every week and give a reading,
Yes.
which was a huge edge, right? And so I think like I didn't understand it beforehand, but I do understand it now. What you mean when you say like we need people who aren't going to collapse under the weight of that responsibility and who aren't going to buckle under the pressure of like it's not about really the time that's being asked of you or the energy. It's about like calling you forward to show up in a whole new identity as a practitioner, as a space holder, and what that requires. Like you're doing two different dimensions of work at once,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Whew. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for all of that. I think too that like for a lot of the magicians, there can be a kind of attachment to who they will be on the other side.
Yeah.
And that can also happen for 13th readers. And so the journey becomes more difficult the more attached we are to that idea. So it really challenged you to learn how to like stay with a thing even when your like will around I have to have it go that way to that outcome is being challenged, which is really important because really powerful magic is like this balance of like what can I control and what can I not control.
Yeah.
Um, so it's very skills building the challenges that can come up, but I know that just like magicians, 13th readers can also like have an idea of what the gig will mean for their career or something like that.
Yep.
And sometimes those pictures can become where you have all the resistance.
Right.
So the more practice I sense someone has with navigating like being magical leaders where there's only we have control of some things and not others, like how responsive can you be in the face of it not going how you thought, right?
Oh God, yeah, that. Because that's where I think like there was a very distinct thing that happened at the halfway mark. Like I don't
Yeah,
remember how many weeks. It was 13 weeks, right?
we usually take that first week off like the first week of May-ish, so we do
Right.
like 6 7 in a row and then we get the week off.
I feel that that halfway point, something really big happened, like ritually speaking, where people realized that the idea that they had about where this ship was taking them, it was really like they were being worked on by the container at that halfway point, and I think that there was a recognition, at least for some folks, that like, oh, I thought we were going there, but we're really going like here. You know, like it was like the Mars arrow being pointed outwards versus like the Scorpio expression where it's like, no, we're taking it,
Oh, going down.
yeah,
Yeah.
like deep into your own, like, again, the vulnerabilities of like, do I believe in my magic? Like I've been doing this thing now for a few weeks, and I felt that that's where people started to realize it's actually not about the idea they had of where this was going to take them, and having to succumb to the process of like being worked on and learning from their real internal process. That was, I think that that's where I noticed some people started to like get overwhelmed and fall off the boat because they were like, I thought that this was about external success when really it's about internal alchemy, you know? And
Yes.
that was a whole like that's not what I signed up for. I didn't sign up to be worked on. I signed up to like take in this new identity, and it's like, well, the only way to get to that identity
I
is
did
to be worked on, you know? Ugh,
it.
so hard. And it happened to me too, you know? Like
Yeah.
I was trying to flake and be like, no, I'll just do astrology readings. And my ancestors were like, no, no, that's not what you're here for. Like, you came here to do magic, and you're trying to like skirt the magic. You're trying to take the easy route. Like, I feel that there was a reckoning that occurred at the midpoint where it's like, what are you really here for? You know?
Yeah.
Because it's not what you
Totally.
thought. Yeah.
And it's all just like, I think also there's like a long teaching with the magician's table because I remember Lisa Quigley, who was a 13th reader last year, saying that it from the year she was a magician in 2022 to last spring, like what she started seeding in 2022 didn't start to come forward till 2 years later. And I hear this all the time
Yeah.
that it's like, just this isn't like 3 months and then you're there. It's
Yeah.
just doing this deep thing that mystery is in charge of the timing of that becoming externalized, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I feel like it's just helping you to get out of your own way a little bit, you know? Like,
yeah.
yeah,
And that's why the community part is so big is the I'm not alone though inside of that feeling is the essential piece to keep going, you know?
the solidarity. Yeah. And like, to be honest, I have never seen such a supportive community than what I'm experiencing now as the outcome of being part of the magician's table is like I have an unimaginable amount of like magical friends that I did not expect, you know? So that's really like, for me, that's the biggest hidden boon in it all is like, you realize that there is, even all of us black sheep coming to the table, realize that there is a space where all the black sheep belong together. And that's like, whoa, that's edgy. It's so beautiful. Yeah. Oh.
I love that too. And I love that, everybody's still really different
Mm.
and they're coming from all over the place and from very different backgrounds, but there's the shared something that creates coherence in ways that are hard to describe before you experience it.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
Amazing. Is there anything that you wish I had asked or that you want to bring in here? Anything you want to tell
Mm.
2026 magicians?
Yeah, I think that the reality, like, I'll be totally honest, I wouldn't have said yes to like taking on this role of the staff holder that's like being formulated in process if I didn't really believe in the importance of the work that's being done inside the container, right? And that's something that I really sat with before like responding and talking more about this type of participation, because the biggest message I've got for 2026 from my own ancestors is like, y'all need to start taking your magic seriously. And I
Yeah.
know that in my own path, the magician's table, like the work that happened in there for me as just an individual was what allowed me to actually take my magic so seriously and be like, no, this is the whole thing. Is like me being able to show up and do and work my magic in real time, right? Like it challenges you to put it into practice and not just talk about it anymore. And so I really feel that our work in this generation, like in this moment, is to really take that seriously. Like we can't just talk about it, we have to do it. And the only way to do it is to be like wildly creative and audacious and actually believe in like our magical powers of way making and like reshaping the future. And so I say that because it's like I wouldn't have said yes if I didn't believe in the container, you know? Like that's it. That's the only reason I'm like stoked about being here is because I believe that it can do that for us, is like really put it
Hmm.
into practice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think something I just want to name that's really come through this conversation is how even though Mercury is the patron of the magician's table, I'm feeling so much Saturn, well, and Uranus, but there's a lot of Saturn.
Yes, there is.
And a lot of that is the actual showing up to the thing that you're so passionate about. And that's the fire that this really holds us to. So it requires healing your relationship to Saturn, which I think is some of the deepest healing that there is.
Mhm. Yep.
Um, yeah. Thank you so much for your time and coming to talk about 13th readers and the
So fun.
magician's table.
So fun. So excited.
Oh,
Yeah, it's gonna be a big year. I can feel that. Like this is the work. Yeah. Thank you so much.
yeah. Thank you. And yeah, do you want to share anything you've got coming up?
Um, um, just really the heart of it is like in the spirit of taking my magic seriously is also just really taking it seriously that I think the more that I lean into my path from what developed in the magician's table is like I am truly the child of the ancestors over here. So any type of ancestor work is like you can find me for that. Yeah, group and one-on-one stuff. Um talking about it a lot lately on the Altar of Stars, so it makes it feel a bit more real. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Teagan.
Thank you. Yeah, so fun. Such an honor.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Teagan. We just had so much fun. Thank you, Teagan, for hanging out with me, for working with me, for supporting and celebrating and giving such fierce devotion to the magician's table. It's such an honor to feel how much you love and see the beauty, the dignity, and the big magic of the Magician's Table. Listener, if you love listening to Moon and you've never left a rating or review, I would so love if you would do that right now. I haven't received a review in a while, and it would just make my day to see a new review coming in. Thank you so, so much for taking the time to do that. It helps me and Moon to Moon reach more people. It really does matter. For all y'all who are like listening to the Magician's Table promo, encouraging you to do the only step you need to do between now and February 22nd, which is to get on the wait list. The wait list link will be in the show notes. So please sign up. This is the only way that you can apply. The only way to apply to the Magician's Table in 2026 is to be on the wait list. Only the people on the wait list will get the link to the application. The application window is February 22nd until March 4th, my birthday. And that's the application window. There's not a separate early bird this year. We're just going to get everybody in all at once. The incentive to apply early is that you get to pick your tuition and you get to pick your cohort first dibs. These will be all assigned first come, first serve. There's only so many seats per tuition option. Stay tuned for more. Really looking forward to the conversations that I'm going to be having with the 13th readers. I'm going to be talking with all 4 of them next week, and then they'll be coming out in the weeks after that so that you'll have plenty of time to listen to each of them, to get to know them, to really sense them. I'm also encouraging you to follow all 4 of them on Instagram. This will also really help you see, like, who are these individuals? What do they care about? You know, what are their devotions made of? What is the frequency that they're sending out? How are they showing up? Do I resonate with these things? Because you're going to want to orient towards the 13th reader who you most resonate with. Now, sometimes you can only do one of the time slots, and that's the only option that you have. Encouraging you then to trust that it's all going to work out, because you know what? It always does. Not only are you being attracted to a 13th reader, you're also being attracted to your colleagues. And you don't know who they are yet. That's one of the scary things. It always works out. So you're going to be constellating in, and then you're going to meet your colleagues. And over time, you're going to understand the intelligence of the magic of you being in that cohort. It's just something you're going to have to trust. That's part of the big mystery magic of the space. I couldn't pick for you. It's really about some kind of mix of resonance and coincidence, where coincidence is the synchronicity producer. So inviting you to trust that is like spell number 1 of the Magician's Table, is just trusting in the leap, that if you're resonating and called to it, and this is the slot that's for you, that's the magic to trust in, and just like leap into that. Just leap into it. Thank you so much for listening. I'm wishing everybody a beautiful day, a beautiful weekend, a beautiful lunar phase, like wherever you're at. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you at the next one.